Episode of the Real_G Warners Betting the Pitch podcast. Smooth entries and entrances and all those things as always, something you would expect from a veteran podcaster, as this is my 96th soccer episode. Maybe a few more that I didn't count, but we're almost to 100. Thank you for everyone who's been paying attention, almost getting us there. Whether you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, on Twitter, on StreamYard, on Instagram, wherever you are, thank you for watching. Sorry this is late night as opposed to midday distraction, as unfortunately I've got things to do during the day. So we're going live, or as live as we can, considering you probably are watching this on delay. And as always, we're going to start where the money is. And I think that's actually Champions League, despite having some Premier League on today's podcast as well. We're going to do Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, English Premier League, and then Serie A, wrap it up and try to give you some winners. It's been a good season so far. We're going to try to keep it going. We'll start with Manchester City, a 1.25 goal favorite at home to Real Madrid. So this is a big matchup. I mean, certainly a larger one than Villarreal being in this matchup, which is on the other side, which is cool. And this is the one that everyone wants to watch. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to do it, but that's how it goes. And I, as an underdog player, I'm interested in Real Madrid, where I'm trying to figure out, it's pretty juiced right now, or has all the juice on Bet Online. Currently, we're recording this at about 10 p.m. Central Time from Dallas, Texas. And Man City, they've been pasting bad English Premier League teams, but I'm not sure that that really says much to me, because I don't really believe that their offense is really that good, strong, incredible, especially against really good sides. Now, Real Madrid, it's incredible that they're right now alive in this competition after they looked dead against PSG, looked dead against Chelsea, survived both of those. And I think maybe I haven't been giving Real Madrid's defense enough credit. Certainly hasn't looked good throughout this whole competition nor this year, but they're pretty good at keeping La Liga teams quiet. Their offense has not been great, but they're running away with the trophy. I mean, if it's not already locked up, it will be soon. And for Real Madrid, I feel like they're a team that I want to back in this situation. I think they're going to go to City. They went there, I think, last season or maybe the season before that, and it didn't go well in one of the knockout rounds. But that happens because Man City are one of the best teams in the world, if not the best. Obviously, finalists last season. In terms of strategy for this one, I think I'm also more interested in taking that 1.25, because Real Madrid are in a position where a 1-0 loss at City isn't the worst result possible. Certainly they want to win the match. They probably see a draw as good enough and something they want as well. But I think once that first goal from City goes in, Real Madrid will certainly be trying to get an equalizer, but they're going to be in a position where they're trying to protect that score line as much as possible. I think there's certainly all the value really to me in Real Madrid is getting more than a goal, or just getting that full goal of insurance so that you push if they lose by a single goal. I think it's important to get that goal in a quarter if you can, because you win a little money on a single goal loss. And there's certainly possibility that Man City win this match 2 or more to 0, or win by multiple scores. I just don't know that that's really the most likely type of scenario here. So I'm really interested in Real Madrid. I think their defense is going to frustrate City. They're probably going to sit back, park the bus. Ancelotti knows how to do that against this side, as he did it in Premier League against Man City last year at Everton. I don't know that it went very well, but Real Madrid are much better. They have much more accomplished defenders. They have been struggling with the legs, or the old legs, the aged legs of Modric and Toni Kroos. But they have had the opportunity to rest them. I think Camavinga started this weekend. Casemiro was suspended, and so he hasn't been playing at the full minutes. So should be available for this one, as far as I know, unless I'm missing a suspension. But I think he was suspended for the final leg against Chelsea anyway. Or Sevilla, or he's been suspended. So whatever happens, I guess. But I think that Casemiro provides a really good goal scoring option for Real Madrid, which is pretty much has been Benzema all season. When he's not there, they are a big concern. But he should be playing in this matchup, as he'll play in Champions League on half of a hamstring, it seems like. And Man City have to take all the initiative. They're going to be up the field the whole time, which sets up Real Madrid who might not have the pace that you would want a team like Real Madrid to have. PSG is probably way faster. But they do have Vinny Jr., who I'm not sure how many people can stay in front of. Man City still don't seem that healthy with Ruben Dias, who's still not. I mean, he hasn't been starting or playing a ton of minutes lately. Maybe they've been saving for this one. I just think that there's plenty of room for Real Madrid to lose 1-0 here, or even do better than that and set up a really enticing second leg. So I'm really interested in Los Blancos or Los Merengues getting 1.25. Now, in terms of two advanced lines, Man City is 1-3 to move on. Real Madrid are 230, so 100 wins you 230. I don't know that I really like Real Madrid to advance here, though the odds are not ridiculous for a really proud team. And I'm sure 10 years ago, if you saw these numbers, you'd put your whole life on Real Madrid. Obviously, things have changed since then. Money has come in from oil-rich countries and all that sort of stuff. But I do like Real Madrid getting that goal in a quarter, and wouldn't hate taking a position on them to advance here, because I don't think it's unrealistic for them to go to the Etihad and get a draw, or to go there and lose 1-0. That probably would make your to advance price a little bit better in the next leg, though. So not really advocating that one. Next on the list is Liverpool and Virial on Wednesday. Currently, Liverpool a 1.5 goal favorite with all the juice right now, potentially climbing to 1.75. Certainly, Liverpool have looked really good. Besides the match with Man City in Premier League, they looked a lot better in the FA Cup, but that was against a rotated side, so I don't really know what that says. But I think it's not as impressive on Liverpool as some might think. But anyway, Villarreal. So they're even more crazy than Real Madrid getting to this point, but that's based on who Real Madrid are and how their matches were going. Villarreal, on the other hand, have really taken care of business this whole time. I think Bayern Munich made a big mistake not really trusting them or fearing them, which they don't ever. But in a Champions League position, you'd think you'd take someone seriously, though Villarreal's league form has not been good in Spain for a year or longer than that. But they've been surviving in these cup competitions because Unai Emery is awesome at nullifying the opponent. And I think that he's going to do that as much as possible against Liverpool. Now, Liverpool, a couple seasons ago when they won the Premier League, seemed like they were way ahead. So it's hard to say, but and I really started tuning in after COVID. So take this with a grain of salt. But my theory on Liverpool is that they are a really tough team to sit in against, because any possession that Villarreal have in their own half is going to be it's going to have some of the toughest pressure that they'll see all season. Now, Liverpool should have plenty of legs to do that, though clearly they are in a position where they are fighting for the league as well, and that might be more important to them than Champions League, though I think it's probably equal. Maybe leaning, if I had to pick, gun to my head, I'll probably say English Premier League more than Champions League, but wouldn't hate you if you're on the other side of that argument. Anywho, so I expect Liverpool to use everybody they got. The difference here, I guess, and they're certainly the most likely team to advance, is they're 1-7 on to advance. So that's a big price. And I'm not really advocating for Villarreal to pull another rabbit out of the hat, because it was pretty impressive that they held on to beat Atalanta, and then Bayern was really surprising and kind of robbed us of a great semi. But I like underdogs, so I'm happy that they're there, and certainly I'm not going to hand back the money that it made me, because I've been riding them for a while. And I do think that Villarreal have been disrespected a lot. I mean, clearly at this point in the competition, they've been a covered machine. But I think their La Liga form has really put them in a negative light to the marketplace, which isn't deserved, because this is a different competition. And Unai Emery might struggle with trying to score a ton of goals against La Liga sides. But ultimately, he hasn't had to do that here. He's been able to sit back and counter. And I think that Villarreal have, as Bayern München found out, they have great players like Samu Chukwueze who aren't much creating, but when they're running down the pitch by themselves, they can finish, whether it's lucky or not, they can finish. And that's a big deal. So in terms of this line for leg one on Wednesday, Liverpool currently giving a 1.5 goal spread with all the juice, maybe climbing to 1.75, which means if Villarreal lose by 2, you get half of your stake returned. That's going to be hard for me to resist on Villarreal. Certainly, this is not a great situation where I see Villarreal winning. I do same sort of argument with Real Madrid. Weird that both La Liga teams are on the road here, but whatever. I guess it's probably fits based on world rankings or whatever if you were going to do it, because Man City and Liverpool are clearly the two best teams in Europe, it seems, in the world. Totally. Yeah. But Villarreal, they're going to be sitting back, they're going to be countering, and if they go behind 1-0, they're going to do the same thing and just try to tighten up even more. I think a 1-0 loss at Liverpool is probably a okay result. They'll shoot for 0-0, which they did to Manchester United last season and got to penalties, and that's how they're in this competition because they were, I think they're in Europa League, La Liga places, but were not comfortable there and certainly weren't even really challenging for Champions League. I do worry about Gerard Moreno not being available for Villarreal, but even if their top striker isn't there, not the hugest loss because that probably means they can add another midfielder or another better defender or someone with more pace because that's not really what Gerard Moreno is known for. So there's a lot to me pointing to Villarreal here. I realize that I've lost a ton of money going against Liverpool because they crush bad teams, but I feel like I've done a better job this season of kind of trying to stay away from fading Liverpool unless it really made sense. They say what you want about the Benfica cover, probably wasn't deserved, but one of those things that Liverpool can switch off. I mean, they had the tie basically clinched, so that's a little bit hard to merit them for. But ultimately, I like Villarreal as a 1.5 goal underdog at present. I expect that number to climb. And based on just a survey of where the lines were before, Real Madrid, from when I had tracked it, when I first made the lines, Real Madrid had moved from +1 to 1.25. So that seems to be climbing, though a lot of juice on Real Madrid currently. And Villarreal from 1.75 has come down a little bit to 1.5, but I think it'll probably go back to 1.75 based on the money that seems to flow in on English Premier League sides, which is deserved in this situation because they're the best teams in Europe, in the world. But ultimately, I feel like they're a lot of times overrated because it's such a big betting market in the UK versus the rest of the world. Because I don't think a ton of Spanish people are betting their favorite teams like the Brits seem to do. And I think that is probably more than enough going through Champions League. But there we go. There you have it. Now moving to Europa League on Thursday. And I'll go to West Ham hosting Eintracht Frankfurt. We'll start with where the lines were last time. It was half of a goal. It's barely moved since then, as West Ham are still a half a goal favorite. Eintracht Frankfurt with a tough matchup this weekend. They're still trying to fight on both fronts. They haven't been playing great in the Bundesliga and aren't really in a great position to qualify for Europe at all, really. Europa League, Conference League, I guess, outside shot, which is saying something for a team that's in the Europa League semifinal. And they controlled their group and played really well in this competition, and knocking out Barcelona was incredible. I would imagine, based on their 30,000 fans that traveled to Barcelona, that West Ham is going to try to prevent that from happening as much as they can. But I think it's going to be hard to keep the Frankfurt fans out because they're going to show up and be outside the gates, if it sounds like, if they have to, in their white shirts, because West Ham will surely be in their claret. But West Ham, they rested some guy. I mean, seeing Declan Rice not start this weekend was saying something that they were really going for Europa League, though. I guess they're out of the Champions League race in Premier League because they haven't been playing well. But I think they're still in European places, and showed that they really, this is what they care about. Because if they win this competition, win this leg, or win this tie, or advance, and then win the final, they get in the Champions League, and that would be like a huge boon to West Ham, an unexpected one at that. But I like Eintracht Frankfurt. They haven't looked great in league play, but clearly that hasn't mattered for Villarreal. And here they just need to go on the road and draw. Now, I do have that same concern that I keep talking about, is if they fall behind 1-0, they probably want to keep it there and won't really risk to try to tie the tie, or tie the first leg, especially because road goals don't matter, which that does concern me, because there's nothing I hate more than seeing someone run out the clock when they're losing, because in a regular match they'd go for it, and if they lose by 2, so what? Same as losing by 1, essentially. But in this case, because the aggregate score does matter, I feel like that will make me feel a little bit worse about Frankfurt. But ultimately, I see so West Ham are an offense I like to fade. I don't know that it's gone super well for me this season, because I feel like they've won a lot of matches as favorites that they haven't really deserved. But West Ham scores on Michail Antonio, who hasn't done anything for a long time, so not really him. They score on set pieces, which are usually their headers because they're super tall. But Frankfurt have some big bodies, and Martin Hinteregger, who hasn't had a very good season, is going to be as physical as he can be, and might limit the maybe physicality of Craig Dawson and Issa Diop, or Zuma, whoever's playing for West Ham at center back. Certainly, Suchek is really, really tall. Declan Rice is not as tall, but certainly is a big guy in the midfield. So you got to worry about the height of West Ham. But I think Tuta has been pretty good for Frankfurt. Also, Evan Ndika, despite scoring on both ends in his own net and then on the other end off a corner this weekend. I think that they can pose some problems. And then the Frankfurt offense and attack, I think, is better than West Ham's. I will admit I'm a naysayer about West Ham's offense, but Eintracht Frankfurt, they have really good speed. And they have, I mean, Kostic is an incredible deliverer of the ball. And I feel like a headed goal is almost, I would favor Frankfurt to get one, a deserved one from the run of play, certainly. Set piece, I'll probably give the edge to West Ham. But I don't see a huge difference between these sides. West Ham were, I think, a half a goal favorite to Lyon last time they played. So it's not like this is a high price or anything. I think Frankfurt are deserving of a look here. Certainly as an underdog player, that's the only way I'll go. But I don't believe in the West Ham offense. I think 0-0 is very possible here. And as we saw from Cresswell taking a red last time, they get pretty nervous, West Ham, because they know that they can't really concede goals. And so I think they're going to be a little more conservative than you'd expect as a half a goal favorite. I don't know where this line's going to move. It hasn't moved much in a couple of weeks. Can't imagine that it'll do too much based on the juices now. A little more leaning to West Ham than Frankfurt. But I'm interested in getting half of a goal, seeing Frankfurt go to try to win this match. But ultimately, a draw is a really good result for them. Certainly taking a risk they lose 1-0 or by a single goal, and that causes some problems. But Frankfurt are better, I think, at attacking than West Ham. And I don't really know that the road or the venue. I've been kind of selling home venues meaning so much, especially in the Olympic Stadium, which just is built with a track around it that's so far from the pitch with all the seats that I do like Frankfurt getting a half. Now, to advance, West Ham currently favored minus 160, which I imagine you could probably skew these lines a little bit based on whoever's home team in the first matchup, because that's more likely to have the big result there or a lopsided victory. But I guess I'm interested in Frankfurt advancing as well, because I think they're going to do pretty well in this first leg. Next, another German team. We have Leipzig hosting Rangers. Leipzig coming off the DFB Pokal victory against Union. And then, I mean, I was losing my mind, but refereeing decisions just going all the Leipzig way at home. But Union Berlin came back, equalized, and then won a match that I think they deserved, that Leipzig did not really show up for. 2 straight weeks, essentially. They're playing a lot of matches because they did not look good after Europa League when they went to Bayer Leverkusen, I believe. So there's some trouble with Leipzig, who are awesome and are really talented and deserve a lot of respect and credit for how they've done this year. Now, maybe they're getting a little too much, as they're 1.25 goal favorites right now to Rangers. Rangers, one of those popular UK teams that seems to get a lot more money than I think they deserve. But they're certainly not the same type of squad value. Leipzig have been geniuses about signing young players that are really good with low buyout clauses, essentially, for other teams to come in and scoop them up. That's been awesome, and Rangers certainly on that level. They are not. And adding Aaron Ramsey, who's never playing for Juve, is like their big signing, certainly shows where they are versus Leipzig, who's probably going to sell Christopher Nkunku this summer or maybe next summer for big, big money. And that's a concern for me for sure. But I do similar story. I mean, I'm trying not to sound like a broken record here, but it's basically my theory going into this match day in the European competitions of 2 legs, that without road goals mattering, Rangers are going to sit on a 1-0 deficit as much as they'll sit on 0-0, I think, or potentially more, to try to keep their position as strong as possible for their home match in the return leg. Now, Leipzig, a 1.25 goal favorite, with all the juice potentially climbing to 1.5. That gives plenty of room for Rangers to lose on the road and then hang around. I do worry a little bit about how high scoring their matches were against Borussia Dortmund, because Leipzig are a similar vein or similar type of squad that have a great offense in the Bundesliga. And that worries me, because if you're betting underdogs in this soccer sport, you really want low scoring matches. Ultimately, I think there are some cup ties that'll play a little bit more close to the vest, though it's probably the second leg, not the first. And when you look at 2 advanced lines, Leipzig are minus 450, so 1 to 4.5 on favorites, whereas Rangers are 3.25 So $100 wins you 325. Big number. Rangers have done it to Dortmund, but they were really flawed and had a lot of issues, especially defensively. I don't think Leipzig have those same problems. And what Leipzig are going to do with what seems like Domenico Tedesco is an awesome manager, and he's going to stay in the middle of the field. He's basically taken the book from his classmate and whatever, Julian Nagelsmann, who left this season and just won the Meisterschale with Bayern Munchen. He's keeping everybody in the middle of the pitch, and they're going to dominate, and they're going to run, and they're going to counterattack, and really go real fast, trying to score goals, score runs. Baseball's on the mind. And I think Leipzig are a much better side, but I lean the underdog here, especially as this climbs to 1.5. I don't know that I thought it was going to be anywhere near this high. So if that keeps happening, I certainly need to check into Rangers because I don't really follow the Scottish League as much as I probably should. But I also don't know when I sleep anyway, so I don't think I could ever really get there. But so that's where I sit. Surprise, surprise, I lean a lot of the dogs in these European competitions. Next, we have the Europa Conference League, not to be forgotten. And Feyenoord hosting Marseille are a quarter goal favorite. Lines haven't been out for these for a long time because it's a smaller competition. A lot of these podcasts I've done all year, they weren't even available when I was recording, but glad to see them now. And Marseille as an underdog is really surprising to me. I have not loved them this year. I feel like they've been getting results that I'm not sure they deserve. A lot of wins, especially against Reims this weekend, scoring the 83rd minute when Reims had 15 more chances. But that's a lot of times how soccer betting goes. I do think that Marseille are in a position where they're playing for this league, but they're also worried about their standing in Ligue 1 because a lot of teams like Monaco and Rennes are fighting right up behind them to try to steal Champions League place because that's only top 3 in France. But depending on what this lineup looks like, and certainly if they don't play their studs, then Feyenoord is a worthy favorite because the Dutch crowds have been awesome in all of these competitions. Ajax's was crazy. PSV Eindhoven was awesome. Feyenoord has been pretty good, though. I've been paying attention to them of those three the least. But Marseille are a really good side. I think Arkadiusz Milik is coming back into health, if not form, and he's the biggest goal threat on their team. Payet didn't play for 65 minutes, and their offense was pretty quiet. I imagine that he's going to be in for this one this weekend. Certainly want to look to see who Marseille has on the weekend as well. But Feyenoord is a favorite to a good Marseille side that have been playing really well in getting results, at least. It seems a little bit questionable to me because I think the French league and the Dutch league probably aren't that different, but I think the Eredivisie is on a much lower tier. Marseille has a lot of talent. And I think that they're going to go try to win this match on the road, which is, certainly a good thing, but and with only a quarter goal spread, you really want to win a winner, a away victor to make it worth it. And I like that. Two advanced numbers. Marseille is the favorite at -130. Whereas Feyenoord are even money currently. It's pretty widespread, but I guess 30-cent lines is what we get in these type of things. Anyway, not if I was running the casino. But I think from where I sit with Feyenoord, I'm looking to be against them because I think they're the worst team left in this competition, and it's probably pretty clear. Next is Leicester hosting Roma. Currently, Leicester a quarter goal favorite at home. Roma with a pretty disappointing performance against Inter this weekend, but they are catching Inter when Lautaro Martinez is getting hot, and that's a scary Inter who are playing really well and look like they are going to win the Scudetto if I had to pick somebody. From where I sit with Roma, they can score a lot of goals, which is surprising for a Jose Mourinho side. That doesn't really happen too often. But that is a good sign for a team that's trying to win competitions. Though I do think they want to have a defensive setup here when they go to Leicester, who have been playing a lot better ever since Wesley Fofana has come back into the lineup. He's awesome. Just the saves he makes with keeper Kasper Schmeichel not always doing the right thing. He's always there to clean things up. Johnny Evans has been really important. And basically Leicester showed that they have no depth at center back because when they play Chelar Soyuncu and Daniel Marte together, their defense is disaster. They should be pretty healthy for this one. They're going for this competition as opposed to the Premier League. I'd imagine their full lineup is here and they would be playing in inferior lineups on the weekend for the Premier League. This is what they're going for. Brendan Rodgers is a good manager, and certainly he and Mourinho should know each other pretty well, which does make me think that the underdog has a little bit of value because these guys know each other. Currently, I mean, almost all the juice is on Roma. I don't think this will fall to pick them. I think it'll probably be quarter both ways. Maybe even a little bit bigger on the Roma side coming back in leg 2, depending, of course, on the scoreline leg 1. But I don't hate anybody going with the idea going against going against Leicester as a favorite, because I'm not sure that they've really done enough offensively. But I thought they played pretty well in eliminating PSV after going down on the road. And I think, I think Roma is probably. Tammy Abraham's been so hot, and they have a lot of great pieces. This is probably a good position if you want to take that. Serie A is not that far off from the Premier League, though. In results, certainly in the Champions League, the top of Serie A, top of Italy, has not performed, and that's a big problem. In terms of 2 advanced line, Leicester is a slight favorite, -120, or Roma -110. Never really great when you're seeing both sides of a future bet with like paying odds or paying juice on. So I don't know who's playing that, but that's not worth it to me. That's for sure. And I will now leave from there, from the European competitions, and go to the Premier League, where we have a match on Thursday. Some pretty big clubs. You might have heard of them before. Manchester United hosting Chelsea. Currently, Manchester United a quarter goal underdog at home. And that's quite a number. Wow. But Manchester United have been playing so poorly that it's probably understandable. Now, Chelsea are certainly not the model of form right now. No idea what Thomas Tuchel is doing with that defense. It was so bad, and seemed like it's a big deal for him to fix that this weekend. But I still got major question about Chelsea scoring. The thing is how do you bet Manchester United right now? I mean, their manager has basically admitted that he's a terrible fit for their job, and they need 10 new players of the 11 they started at the time, essentially. No idea what's going on with Ronaldo, who's had some really tough off the pitch stuff. And from where I sit, I don't know. Certainly as an underdog player, the only chance here for me is Manchester United as a home dog. But I don't know. Is the crowd even helping them at the Theater of Dreams right now? Theater of Wet Dreams or whatever, because they don't fix the roof. I don't know. It feels like a stay away. Neither of these teams are playing well, which certainly means a home dog has probably got some value. But I just don't know how you bet Bruno Fernandes hitting the post. Crazy that he took the ball over Ronaldo, but it's easy to second guess and play Monday morning quarterback, or in this case, Monday evening quarterback. I don't know. I think Manchester United is probably worth a bet if you're based on where these teams are, because I don't think they're that different, but the way they've been playing, I don't think you could trust that sort of thing. So I'm going to leave that behind. Now moving to Serie A, because we have 3 matches midweek. I thought we were going to have 4, but I don't know what's going on with the Salernitana match. As they seem to be always moving matches, and I don't really understand. So this is Wednesday. Fiorentina hosting Udinese. Currently, Fiorentina a 3-quarter goal favorite, which is a big number for them to lay, considering they've been playing a ton of matches. They're not used to playing in European competitions, but they were playing in the Coppa Italia. That didn't go well for them. They didn't really look very good this weekend against a bad team like Salernitana, who's bottom of the table on the road, off a disappointing Coppa Italia exit, but also that's should be expected because they were trailing on aggregate going to Juve, if I remember correctly. Udinese has been playing really well. They've been scoring goals. That's been a problem for them for years. Their defense has not been as good this year, but they've been trading offense for defense. And I like them because a single goal loss, you only lose half a bet here. I'm interested in Udinese because they have much more legs, or Fiorentina just has much less in the tank right now, I think. And then selling Vlahovic has been a problem. Cabral's been pretty good, but I don't know that he's got as much in his legs right now, and that's a big concern as a big favorite. Next is Bologna hosting Inter Milan. Currently, Bologna a 1.25 goal underdog at home. And as I was just saying, Inter are starting to turn up that goal scoring form. They were really bad for about a month or 2 months, but that seemed to turn around as soon as Lautaro Martinez found the back of the goal. He's been awesome. They controlled the match in Coppa Italia in their own leg against regular Milan or AC Milan. They have a little more experience playing since they were Scudetto champions last season of playing 2 matches a week. Bologna don't have that experience at all. Their manager's fighting cancer again, and I don't know his real influence. They didn't have Arnautovic this weekend, which is a big concern because if he's not there, I don't know how you trust them to score. From where I sit, Bologna getting more than a goal at home because they've been really, really, really stingy defensively. I think way more than I would expect this season. They haven't really been as push forward to try to pressure you because that's the only way they can score, because Arnautovic is taking that pressure off. But if he's not there, that's a big concern. It's almost like if Arnautovic doesn't play, I can't play Bologna. So we'll see what this number looks like. Certainly getting more than a goal is of big interest to me at home. But there is some blowout risk here because Inter are starting to turn up, and they are really deep. They're going to have a ton of the ball. They're going to have their wing backs basically in your box, strangling you, and that's a big problem. Next, and last but not least, before we wrap up tonight's podcast, is Atalanta hosting Torino. Currently, Atalanta a 1-goal favorite. All the juice in the road team, Torino. Atalanta, got a good win this weekend, but have been the least impressive team this year. I feel like it was a lot tighter this weekend than the scoreline suggested. And from where I sit, I got to say Torino. I mean, Torino's not a prom queen either. They control the ball fairly well. They don't score it very well. Palazzi hasn't been in the side. I wonder what his status is and if he's out for this matchup. A lot of the big problem that they've had scoring this year is because they haven't had a striker that's any good. They've got the Paraguayan Sanabria, who kicks balls over the crossbar from the penalty spot at Bolivia in situations. So hard to trust them really. And they're going to give Atalanta plenty of opportunities to play on the front foot, to counterattack, because both of these teams are going for it. And Atalanta are better than Torino. Atalanta getting healthier, certainly, but they've sold their best players that made them who they were. Gosens, Mele's not playing that much because he had to play every match essentially at the beginning of the year because Gosens was out, and now he's at Inter, which just makes the rich get richer, which is tough in this sport, really. But with no salary cap. But I think, of course, getting a full goal of insurance is a big number for me, and that means a lot. I think if it falls, like the juice suggests, it might fall below 1. I don't think that'll happen. I think it will close 1. But Torino, they are certainly the way I lean. I like the idea of going against Atalanta, and I'm curious to see after they played Muriel and Zapata started them together this weekend, though it was against the bottom of the league. I feel like Gasperini will go back to having one of those strikers in, and one will come off the bench. And that's a big problem for Atalanta when they have to win by more than a goal. And I think that'll do it on what felt like a pretty long episode. But I'm the real_G Warner on Twitter. Thank you for watching. I'm hoping that this all went according to plan. Looks like we're still recording, so good. But hit me on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe, YouTube. Okay, I'm going to do this all on the top. Apple Podcasts, for listening to me there, great. Subscribe, rate 5 stars, do that sort of stuff. Everyone wants that. I'll figure out something, throw something, a comment in there, and I'll answer, or I'll wear whatever shirt you want, because this is probably, everyone hates it, but whatever. It's iced tea and some ice cubes. If you're on Twitter, thanks for following. Hit me up, throw me questions there, at me, whatever. If you hate what I'm saying, cool, fine. I don't care. But I'm looking forward to getting some more talk going, because there's a few weeks left. I'm running out of steam. Looking forward to trying to close this year on a good run, because it's been a much better soccer season than last year, but we still got to close it out well. If you're on Instagram, thanks. You're probably the only person that's on here, but I appreciate it. And whatever I haven't mentioned, YouTube, subscribe. I need 1,000 to even get anywhere, but we only have 1,000 to go. So anyone that's there, thank you. Appreciate all the support, and we'll talk to you soon. The Real G Warner on Twitter, the Real_G Warner.
Recording stopped.